personally, I mean, the reason that I think I do what I do is because I know, for myself, and I think this is probably for most people, that, you're not really going to stick to a job or, get any long-term kind of value out of it if you don't if you know in deep down that you don't really enjoy it, you don't want to do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Rehnell. Welcome to Discussion With. This show is aimed to provide advice, support and empowerment. Now on today's show we have an amazing guest who works for a charity called the Creative Mentor Network. Now this charity provides mentorship programs to help young individuals thrive within the creative industries. So please everybody, welcome to the show, Sam Conley.
Thank you, it's great to be here and cheers for having me.
Nice to meet you. We spoke as well off camera, and I really like the work that the Creative Mentor Network does. I think it's something that is really, really important. There's a lot of people that are looking to get into industries that they struggle to get into. And number one, I've noticed is either you need experience or if you don't have the experience, you struggle trying to get interviews and things like that. So I feel like there's an importance of having a mentor, and I feel like in life in general as well. When you're growing up, you have like parents as well, like parent figures around you, and family and friends that help guide you and shape you. So tell me, please, with the Creative Mentor Network, what is it about? And what is the importance of having a mentor?
Yeah, for sure. So to start off with the charity itself, it's got quite a specific mission, and that mission is to help young people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds access the creative industries and kind of find their foot in the industry that they might be interested in. So you can look online, there's a whole bunch of research that's kind of been done fairly recently, and it's kind of getting updated all the time about who makes up the creative industries. And pretty much across the board, people who are from private schooling or what's considered a higher socioeconomic background, so someone with kind of a family unit that have professional quite high earning salary, they tend to be overrepresented in the creative industries. Right. So whatever area you look at, whether it's music or journalism, you tend to find that it's kind of most of the roles and most of the senior roles, if not all of the senior roles, are taken by people who are from those high socioeconomic backgrounds. And there's quite a lot of reasons for that, in terms of recruitment processes and education. So this charity kind of exists as a way to help young people who are from those lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So if you break it into the words, the socio part of it is the people that and kind of the human resources that you have around you to help you understand how to get into creative industries. And the economic part is the wealth. It's the ability to have a job, or the ability to kind of have a comfortable means around you to kind of take on a free internship or to grow. So what we do is we kind of use mentorship as a way to help those young people to understand that the creative industries exist, and also that they can access them and they can turn their passion or their interest into a career.
That's brilliant. No, that's really good. So tell me a little bit about the mentorship programs that you offer.
Yeah, so they are 16 weeks long, standardly. And we have two types of programs. So we have our flagship program, which is called Break the Wall. That runs 3 times a year. And that's basically all different people from different areas of the creative industries, everything from digital to advertising to music. Usually it has 30 mentors in each program. And they're all people that will put themselves forward from different agencies, and they put themselves forward to be mentors. I think a bit later I'll probably tell you about what it means to be a mentor, or what the process is like. But basically they put themselves forward, and then what we do is we match them with a young person. So that's actually my role. So I'm the outreach manager. So I essentially go out to schools, youth centres, anywhere where young people are, and I tell them about the programs that we offer, and I kind of encourage them to consider mentorship as an option. So once they have been matched, we try to match them based on interests or skills that the mentor might be able to help the young person develop. Once they've been matched, they do like a launch event where they get to meet each other, which is really fun.
Right.
So they kind of get put in a room with all the mentors and mentees, and they get to go and meet their mentor face to face, and it's always really exciting. And they do 16 weeks of one-to-one meetings. So sometimes it can be a mixture between Zoom or in person. And then we basically do a event at the end. So they get an event, like a showcase event, where they get to celebrate what they've done and show what they've worked on for the 16 weeks. And the showcase is always my favorite bit, because you see what wildly different outcomes there are of the mentorships. The young people really do progress massively, often in 16 weeks time. So you see what they often talk about, where they started, misconceptions or things that they might have assumed about what the mentorship is going to be like, and then it's kind of like them realizing that they can do what they want to do, and the mentor often helps them to develop those ideas, and often you can see some really amazing outcomes at the end of it.
What type of creative, say, jobs that you cover?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'll start off by saying, an interesting part of doing what I do in terms of going to the schools and kind of speaking to the young people.
Yeah.
So, I exclusively go to state schools because of our eligibility criteria. You have to go to a state school to be on the program.
Right.
So I go to state schools, youth centres, and talk to young people who are usually in year 11 or sixth form. And I often find, I guess in some ways unsurprisingly, that they only have a really small idea of what roles they think are available. Right. So the roles that I always hear are music video director, artist, music artist. What else do they? Things like that. Director, like be a director of a film. Usually the jobs that they kind of see through entertainment. Vloggers, influencers. Those are the roles that they usually say, that's what I want to do. And then part of my job, I guess, is to kind of demystify actually what are the creative industries and what do they even mean, why are they important, and let them know that actually there's behind every artist there's hundreds, if not sometimes more, people doing the work that that goes on behind the scenes, and kind of talking about the roles that exist. So for our Break the Wall program, for example, we really do have a massive range of mentors. So it literally can be everything from like people who work in finance to people who work in law for the creative industries to people who work in like syncs, like placing music. Every industry, like design, game designers, animators, all sorts of different mentors. So that's quite a good one, I think, for entrance level. That one's 16 plus, so that's quite good for someone who's new to the creative industries, just to actually sometimes see, these are all roles that I didn't know existed. My mentor does a role that I never even knew you could do. That's usually what they say. And then going back to your previous question, I guess the other programs that we do are then like individual partnerships with creative companies. So some of the partners that we work with are Sony Music.
Oh wow!
And actually, we've just expanded that to be a wider part of Sony. So the program that we're just about to launch is with Sony Music, Sony Pictures, PlayStation, and Sony Publishing. So that's for people who want to get into music, film, gaming, stuff like that. We do a Soho House partnership, which is a really, really popular one. We do Amazon. We've got lots of different partners kind of that level. And with those programs, you get partnered with a mentor from that company.
Wow.
So if you sign up to do the Amazon program, you'll get signed up, like Amazon Prime Video, for example, we do that one. You'll get partnered exclusively with someone who works at Amazon Prime Video. So in those cases, those programs are a bit more, I'd say, like pointed in terms of, a young person, would probably sign up to the Amazon Prime Video program because they're really interested in like film, video, and marketing. Sony, for example, with Sony Music, they might think, I really want to get into the music industry, so I want to do that one. So, so I think I do find it really interesting, all the time that, at state schools, I think there's a bigger conversation about it, is that, young people don't get shown what roles exist.
Yeah. They
really don't. And careers advisors, it's impossible for them to keep track of how industries are changing. They tend to not really know anything about the creative industries. They tend to not be able to keep up with it. So, there's a real disconnect from what I can see between, young people having creative ideas, really wanting to do something interesting, but then not really having the opportunity to sometimes ever even meet anyone who does that role.
That's
or
right.
they don't even have anyone to ask about what can I do then? If I like, if I like photography, well, what can I really do? Aside from being a photographer, what other stuff can I do? And there's loads of stuff you can do with photography. There's loads of different industries you can go into.
That's right.
With that interest, and with a love of image and editing and things like that. But I tend to find that unfortunately those industries aren't represented at a schooling level at state schools, so the young people don't know where to go.
Do you know what? It's actually I like to touch on that, the disconnect, because I used to work as an employment advisor,
Okay.
and it was alongside the job centre. So for people that were long-term unemployed, and it was a mixed caseload of people. So you would have people 30 and above, but then you would have 30 and below as well. And then there was even a range where it was like 16 to like 21. And there's still quite a lot of people unemployed for, I think it was over a year of unemployment. And you would be surprised. I mean, they would come in, you could tell that they are talented, they will go on the computers, and sometimes, it's out of frustration, they're not actually searching for jobs because a lot of the jobs that were provided were not jobs within the spaces that you're saying.
Yeah.
So, it could be more like retail jobs or warehouse jobs, or, and the system is designed in a way to just kind of get them off of the books, so to speak, from signing on, and get them into work. But then what happens is it's like a 360 circle. They end up going back unemployed again because they're not happy with the job that they're in.
Yeah, I think I've seen that a lot in terms of, and I personally, I mean, the reason that I think I do what I do is because I know, for myself, and I think this is probably for most people, that you're not really going to stick to a job or get any long-term kind of value out of it if you don't if you know in deep down that you don't really enjoy it, you don't want to do it. And I've always been a bit like that. And so I tell young people, you have to. We all do have to do jobs that we don't like, at the same time. I've done many jobs. I also, often have to take on second jobs and things like that just to get by. And I work in a bar at the moment, on Fridays and Saturdays, on top of working at the charity and stuff like that, which I do actually enjoy the bar work, to be honest. But there's other jobs that I've done in the past that, are second jobs or stuff that I've done for a little while that I really haven't enjoyed. So that's a reality of life that we have to do that. But I also don't, you also have to, if you're going to find a long-term value or career that you value, it's really important that you do have some sort of connection to it. And I completely see that, young people sort of not being ever really encouraged, they're not really often asked, at schooling level or, when they get out of school, well, what are you interested in?
That's right.
I do think you can do both. Like, I think you can have a career, work and make the money that you need to make, week by week or month by month. But then you can also at the same time be working towards, something that you're really interested in or something that you might get a longer term career out of. And I think in my experience, young people are never really asked. I mean, I know I wasn't at school, I was never asked.
Yeah, not me.
Well, what do you actually like and and things like that. And I think, it's just in the culture of state schools, I guess, is, the way that we do education in this country, it's very focused on, it's just exam driven. It's very much an exercise of memorizing the kind of the course content for the exams. And it's just a cycle that just they're focused head down.
That's right.
And then by the time it gets to, they're all tired by the time it gets to summer, and then they come back in September and they do it all again. And that, unfortunately, for many young people, there isn't much space for them to really get a chance to explore what they're interested in. And then even if they do, there isn't anyone around them who can then often help them to say, well, I think it's really cool that you're interested in that, and actually, did you know you can do this with it, or did you know you can do this, or have you tried this? And I think that's where there's a lot of failings in terms of connecting young people up. I said to myself I wasn't going to do any stats on this podcast because I knew I'd get something wrong. But there's a good stat out there that I read recently that basically was talking about young people who basically are NEET and what they want to do. So not in employment, education, or training, and what they say they want to do. And overwhelmingly, I remember from the stat that I saw, it was creative industries based stuff. So there's young people really want to do,
of course,
creative industries, and it's not that young people don't want to, especially even if they're neat. It's not that they don't want to do anything. It's actually that they do have these interests that are there, but massive disconnect between I guess the entrance points to that industry that they want to get into, and then where they're at. There's not much, unfortunately, that goes on in between. So I guess we're one of the access points that there are. So one of those young people could say to us, well, I'm not doing anything at the moment. I've done a few jobs and haven't really worked out, but I really am interested in editing. I really love editing videos and uploading stuff on YouTube. And what we could then do is match them with a mentor for 16 weeks who does that as a job. Or if it's not a direct match, if it's not a mentor who is an editor, we can match them with someone who works in an industry that massively uses that kind of skill base, so like advertising or something, and that mentor will spend the one-to-one time with them to basically listen to them and to help them scaffold what they're doing now to at least get somewhere towards it. And as I was saying before, there's some real transformations that happen in a 16-week period just because a young person's allowed to explore their interests.
Would you say there's been any really good success stories from somebody that's applied for one of your mentorship programs and then they've paired up with a mentor and they've gone on to
I think
do
loads.
some great things?
I think lots. I think we've had lots and lots of examples of young people getting hired.
Right.
We don't. That's not part of the program in terms of the mentors don't come on because they're gonna to hire the young person.
That's right.
But it does happen.
Oh, that's good.
There are times when there are multiple times of mentees, or mentors being so impressed by the mentee, or saying to their workplace, this mentee's amazing. We'd love to get them on board. Or is there opportunity for them? What we often see as well is mentees getting jobs, through the work they've done on the program. So they might say to the mentor, I want to get a job in this industry, and the mentor will help them to build up towards that and introduce them to people. And then they might get another job somewhere else in the industry that they want to get into. There's lots and lots of that. There's, at the showcase, it's a really great way to, maybe we can invite you down to one of the showcases actually to come and have a look. You hear the young people talk about what they've done, and there's everything from personal journeys, people having real personal transformations in terms of realizing, what they're interested in, or maybe realizing that the thing that they're doing isn't fulfilling them, and they want to change, and there's lots of that. We had a really great one where there was a mentee who basically, as soon as she got on the program, she got a scholarship to go to I think it was Columbia University.
Oh,
wow. She basically had to raise £40,000 to be able to get there and stuff like that, and to take the opportunity. So she kind of just said to her mentor, it's a bit of a real whirlwind, but she said to her mentor, look, this is what's happened. I know we've just started and this is like super random, but can you help me out? And then the mentor went out and just talked to loads of people, and she actually got that money deposited in a lump sum. So GRM Daily got involved, and then there was a music company that actually put it in a lump sum to her. So she got all the money in one go, and that was through the mentors network, and it shows the power of network. And I actually went to she kind of did a celebration party at Soho House to talk about what had happened and stuff like that, and invite all the people down who were involved, and things like that. It just goes to show the power of network. And that mentee took the risk to say to her mentor, this is a bit wild, but can you help me with this? And it just so happened the mentor had a network that the word got around to someone that had the ability to do that.
That's
a pretty good one there. I think that's kind of the kind of most extreme example of what can happen. But then as I said, many examples of employment, and people just finding their confidence and finding a bit of support actually really helps them to grow their confidence in chasing what they want to do.
So out of all of the creative people that join your mentorship programs,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is the like standout areas? So whether it could be art, photography, what would you say is the most popular?
Yeah, good question. So we actually do have that data. So from the applicants, so when they apply, they do a form, and they'll tell us what their interests are. But I also, do a bit of data collection when I go out to schools and stuff, and get them to fill out a form about what their interests are and things like that. And I think the two top are film and TV.
Okay,
So lots.
wow.
So I think 40% of the young people that we ask say film and TV. And that's like quite a big margin compared to when you look at the other industries.
Yeah.
And then art. So the art world, I think that's close behind. So the two are film and TV and art by far.
Wow. So and with the film and TV, is that more so like the editing, camera work?
It's a good time to talk about this because we've actually got, for that reason, that because we had such an overwhelming interest in film and TV, we actually got a new program launching in a couple months.
Okay.
I think it starts in September, and it's called Break the Wall Film and TV.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's going to be up to 30 mentors who are exclusively from the film and TV industries. And I think the good thing about these programs, we also do another one with a company called the APA, and they're the Advertising Producers Association. So they're kind of like a trade body sort of thing for the advertising and film world. So basically they put forward mentors who are from all different roles. And I think the interesting thing that happens there is, I guess, the young people's, perception of what film and TV is watching Netflix or watching things and being excited about it. And then I guess the mentors that we have are from like production. We do have some directors. We've got some quite high profile directors that we've had before. Even people who work in accounts and like sort of finance and things like that. But I'd say most of our film and TV mentors are involved in the production world.
Okay.
So what's interesting is most young people, I think, that come onto the program don't know what production is.
Yeah.
So and I didn't know what production was until I sort of really probably started this job and got to meet these mentors and kind of get to speak to them and find out what they do.
Yeah.
But production is literally putting it all together. It's putting it's making the ideas come to reality and actually building the show and making sure that everything happens. Everything from booking the cars and cabs to make sure people get to set, to the catering, to all the things I guess that when you watch a TV show you never think about. You never just sit there and think, oh, I wonder what they're having for lunch. I wonder what they had for lunch that day, or I wonder how he got to set. I wonder how they got. But all that stuff, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, all the logistics, everything.
Yeah,
isn't it?
because otherwise
yeah.
the show doesn't happen. So we have a lot of producers, and I think that's really exciting because the young people, see these roles and they can see that actually, wow, this is within a producer you get to see all the different roles. Everyone from lighting to the catering to all sorts of different things that have to happen to make a TV show happen. So I think through getting a mentor who's a producer or in that world, they really get a massive insight into the huge teams that exist to make these shows happen. And I think that can be quite helpful for the young people because it just makes it. There's so many more entrance points then.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not just like if I want to work in film and TV, I have to write an amazing show, or I have to be a film director that's gonna, get on Netflix. Like, they actually realize, well, actually, I can be a runner.
Yeah.
I can actually just get on set and start off, or I can work towards. I really love food as well, so I could actually be catering, and I could work, on set as a caterer or things like that. So, I think through that process, there's some really interesting things that happen, and I think it opens the world of film, and you can actually see what a massive industry it is and how many different roles there are available and what you can do. And I think taking it back to sort of I guess CMN's specific mission and why we do what we do. I think you'll often find that I guess people from the higher socioeconomic backgrounds that have more flexibility in some ways. So taking it back to kind of the socio-economic part of it, the socio part of it is that they have a much higher likelihood of knowing or having a personal network, whether it's a family member or someone that their family is connected to, that works in these industries.
Yeah.
Because these, people from high socioeconomic backgrounds dominate these industries, it's much more likely that they're going to have that personal network. And then secondly, from the economic factor, they've got often much more flexibility just in life to kind of experiment, pursue things, make mistakes, go off and try different things. And I think those are, two factors of it. And I think, often I guess if you're, going to a state school, I guess often, you don't usually have anyone to turn to kind of give you this information. And I think, your careers advisor usually won't know where to put you onto and won't be able to help you. And you potentially might not have any family members or friends who know anything about working in those industries. So it just means that I think a lot of young people never even get a chance to see what's out there.
That's
and,
right.
There's the cliche, you can't be what you can't see. And I think that's what happens is that if you never get to see what exists, then how are you ever meant to even begin to start working your way towards it, or or setting yourself any sort of path to getting there.
No, I totally agree.
I think that's what happens a lot, and I think just the fact of having someone who can introduce you to the industries, can show you kind of what's what, even if it's just come into my office, come and have a look at this, come and meet this person. I think you get a lot just from absorbing that stuff. And I think in the creative industries there's a lot of kind of unspoken rules and cultures that exist that you don't really get to know until you're actually there. How to dress, how people speak, what people talk about, what kind of what they go and do after work. You don't really get to know what the cultures are and work cultures are until you actually see it. And it can be quite difficult to understand that if you never get a chance to experience it.
Having a mentor, I feel, is very, very important for any young individual to help them, thrive and succeed, because, the expertise, the wealth of knowledge, it's endless, isn't it, with someone that is highly experienced within that field. So, I think it's great what you guys do, to be honest.
Yeah, I wish I had a mentor. I think, that's why I think that's why a lot of our staff do it as well, is because we have a few teachers who used to teach and things like that as well on the team, and I think we've all had similar. I used to sort of work in further education, 16 to 19, and I think I kind of saw a lot of that. A lot of young people not really being encouraged, and also having interests, and then it just being a mismatch in terms of them having not having no one around to help them to encourage them to to pursue those interests, but then to actually be able to show them the routes as well.
That's right.
Because the creative economy is worth so much. This country is something that we got to be really proud of, for such a small island, in terms of the output and the what we have is amazing. But they just don't at the moment teach that in state schools.
No.
Even if you're if you do media, even say you do a media course at A level, I often also go to universities, and I even get to speak to university level students who really want to get into say film and TV production as an example. What I often find is that even if they get their degree, I speak to ones who are third years and stuff like that, and I ask them, well, what are you doing next, or have you had any experience so far? And they say no. They've done the whole course 3 years, but they haven't actually had any real life experience. And then realistically, they're kind of better off to go off and be a runner. You have to start from
That's right.
Right from being a runner and making tea and stuff, and going doing what needs to be done, and kind of picking up gear and lugging it around and stuff like that, to actually have the real industry experience to even understand how it works. So there's a huge disconnect between what's needed, what the skill sets that are needed and are seen as valuable for these industries, and then what you learn, unfortunately, at school and even university level.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it's quite hard to. That can be difficult, I guess, if you're really passionate about something, and then you go and study, and you come out, and it can all seem very confusing and very disheartening, I guess, if you don't know what doors to knock on or where to go. I guess a lot of young people expect that going to uni is going to get you a job.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, that isn't the case anymore.
That's true.
You get a degree, and then you'll kind of then have to go off and fend for yourself and find degrees aren't necessarily direct links into jobs.
That's right. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of creative individuals who then get really confused and don't know where to turn. They don't know anyone. So I think mentorship is, I think that's a really great method to help remedy that, because it means that, the young person can actually say, well, this is where I'm at. I actually don't know what I'm doing next. I don't know how to get here. And, the mentor can sit and think, well, actually, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And, introduce them to their network. And I think that's where the transformation happens. It's just plugging them into that world and showing them that there is opportunities there, and this is how you start accessing them.
So what would you say is the vision and for the Creative Mentor Network? What's your goals? What's your vision? What are you looking to do within the next couple of years in terms of growth? Yeah,
so I think one of the main things that I'm really excited about is seeing how we're going to develop beyond London. So up until, so I think the charity's been around for 5 years. I've been there for just coming up to a year. So my first project to recruit for was actually the first ever outside of London program. So it was in Oxfordshire with Soho Farmhouse. And then since then I've recruited in Berlin. So we did a Berlin program. We've done a Brighton program. We've done a Kent program. So we're expanding across, nationally. Probably not internationally. Berlin is happening, but I don't know, about any other countries. But in terms of nationally, we've got some really exciting things on the horizon. I think about getting up north.
Brilliant.
Doing some programs with young people who aren't based in London. Yeah. Because it's very London centric in terms of what opportunities are available, and I'm really personally excited to get up and offer mentorship opportunities to young people across the country. Yeah. So I think there's going to be more of me kind of running around and getting trains up and down and going to different places. So that's happening, and I think just keep growing the community and keep offering different exciting programs and exploring different industries and things like that as well. I think there's lots of scope for growth in terms of what happens next.
We've covered the Creative Mentor Network. So tell me about you. What made you get into this space?
Yeah, so I think I had the experience of going to a secondary school where it was very much just heads down, GCSE focused type of thing. I was always really interested in music, production, filmmaking, writing. Used to do all these bits and bobs, and they were always outside of school. It was never in school. It was
always, like me as well.
Yeah, it's always outside of school with my mates, and that's what we used to do for fun. And we used to use Fruity Loops and
me too. Yeah,
make all these little little beats and songs, and make little YouTube videos and stuff like that. Right when YouTube came out, and all sorts of random stuff. And I never really thought that was just a thing you did for fun. And I guess it was pre kind of this digital, social media and stuff wasn't really happening yet. So it was a bit of a different context. But I remember having all these interests anyway, and not really gelling with school. I still did okay at school. Yeah. But I remember never really feeling like I liked it that much. Kind of going through sixth form, same feeling. Went to uni, so I just kind of went to uni because I thought that's what you do. Yeah. So I did love my time. I went to Brighton Uni. I loved it, but I came out with a 2-2. So I definitely coasted. I definitely had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed living there and stuff. But still coasted through it and didn't really feel that interested. I guess I didn't apply myself so much. Yeah. Got out of uni and then just worked in a pub for like 4 years. Just like 50 hours a week working in a pub, pulling pints. And during that time, I guess I felt quite lost. And I started a blog. So I started actually writing a music blog during that time because I just really needed something to focus on. And, that gave me a real buzz to, I created an online blog. I started interviewing artists. I started interviewing loads of London-based all different genres, different styles, and that blog ended up getting a fairly decent following online, and I got called into Sony Music. So one day I got this random email, a friend who was making videos had basically spoke to an A&R at Sony, and they were asking all these questions, and he said, look, you need to speak to this guy, because this guy, if you check out his blog, he does all this stuff. So I got randomly called into Sony, and I just turned up, and I remember looking around and thinking, wow, this is mad. Sony in Derry Street. I never knew it existed. Didn't realise, just what kind of resources there are in the music industry and what's available, and I was just being amazed and thinking this is sick, like this is really sick. I was about mid-20s then. So that moment for me, I think, was a kind of a crystallizing moment, because I guess for me I had that moment where I thought, this is what I want to do, and I want to work in this world. Like, this world looks sick, like this looks like something I really potentially could get along in. And I started doing a bunch of music stuff and kind of dipping my toes in and out and trying. I never really got my feet in the music industry, to be honest. I never really I worked alongside a management company for a while, which was cool. Then I was like working with a radio station. I was doing a lot of blogging and never really found my feet. I've done some cool stuff, but never unfortunately found a full-time role in the music industry like I thought I would. And during that time, I got introduced to a local youth organisation that was just down the road from me. And they were offering young people music courses. So young people, and most of the young people, I guess, were young people who hadn't got on at mainstream education well, and were kind of using music as a way to get back into something and like have a second chance and do their maths and English GCSEs at the same time. So I was like, well, this seems like a cool thing to get involved in too. So I went and started volunteering there, and that ended up being a job for 6 years. So I ended up working there in various different formats for 6 years, and then just through that, getting really interested in loads of different things: photography, filmmaking, did a bunch of cool stuff. And then I think during that time just noticed and kind of reflected a bit and thought, this is like, a lot of those young people remind me of myself, I guess. Me thinking back to, I never got encouraged to do any of this stuff that I wish I could have done. So I kind of like find it really exciting to encourage young people, and to encourage them to still be realistic. I think what you said earlier is really key about lots of young people do want to be they want to be the star.
That's right.
So they are really focused on that, and I think you have to have you have to look at it from both sides. You have to obviously say, well, there's every possibility, definitely work towards that because it's going to open doors.
That's right.
But then also encouraging them to explore the other facets of what their interests are, because often I'll find that after a couple of years, that kind of, they're actually really interested in music and performing. Doesn't mean you have to be the star. And often I'll find that they actually, it opens other doors when they realize other interests. So but you only get through that through encouraging and exploring. So I think it's about encouraging young people to follow what they want to do, but at the very same time encouraging them to try other things as well. Don't just and I guess it's a self value thing as well, of like not thinking that you have to be the star to get on in the industry, or
that's true.
And I think that I find it really exciting to be that type of person who does encourage young people to do that. I personally got burnt out by working in kind of FE for all that time, just working with teachers and exams and coursework and all that stuff. There's a lot going on out there. And teachers are stressed, and it's quite a roller coaster world to work in at times. It's working with 16 to 19 as well. Like, it's quite a there's a lot going on. Kind of at college level. So I personally got burnt out, and then I thought last year, well, I still want to help young people, but I just I need to find another way to do it, because I want to explore what else people are doing for young people that are outside of kind of the standard education system. And I actually had been a mentor for this charity, so I'd actually just in my own time previously volunteered to be a mentor for CMN. And I knew about it through that, and then I applied to get this role as outreach manager and got the role.
Brilliant.
So I'm still, I guess, very much on this journey of like all the young people, working out what I want to do too. I think we all are, and I think that's sometimes a good place to be.
So today we had Sam Conley from the Creative Mentor Network. I think today was a really, really good discussion, because we covered a lot of things, and especially the importance of having a mentor. In life we need mentors, whether it's work, whether it's at home, and just everyday life. Mentorship is so important. But if you want to have a career, I think it's really, really important to make sure that you get a mentor. If you're struggling trying to get into an industry, especially the creative industry, make sure that you get in contact with the Creative Mentor Network. Get in contact with Sam. I think it would be fantastic for anybody who is looking to get into the creative industry to get in touch, because they do some amazing work. I'll make sure that I put all of the description in the all the socials in the description box below, because it's really amazing. So make sure that you take a look at that. And I think really as well, what I found was important is just taking opportunities. And I've said this before on previous podcasts. Sam got a message, I believe it was an email from Sony, and he just jumped to the opportunity. And that's what it is. You have to take your opportunities. And even if you start off in a role that's around the type of role that you're looking to do, you can still get your foot in the door and learn from the others around you to get into that perfect role that you're looking to get into. So I would like to thank Sam for coming on the show today. I think it was really insightful. Make sure that you check out Sam. I'll put his social tags below as well, and make sure you check out the Creative Mentor Network as well. I think it was brilliant, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Take care.